Hi, welcome to Spectrum Insights. Today we're talking about I don't know and why it is a terrible answer. We're going to cover what to say instead of I don't know. Stay tuned.
Visit spectruminsights.ca.
Whenever I practice conversation starters with my students, I don't know is invariably the answer I get the most. I know and you know why somebody with autism or ADHD may choose this as their answer. And ideally, we'll accommodate or change our line of questioning or accept they are not ready to answer right now. My approach has been teaching my students what the neurotypical person is thinking when looking for a conversation. So this lesson is really about what to do when a neurotypical comes up and asks you questions. They may not be familiar with autism. So what do you do? So neurotypicals will not approach you and be as direct as you like. They will not say, hi, I want to be friends and hang out with you right now. Instead, they'll come over and show you they want to be friends with you. They'll test the waters with questions. When you say, I do not know or I don't know, it shuts the conversation down really quickly. Usually discourages the potential friend. They may feel hurt and think you don't like them. And we also need to think about work scenarios. So if an employer walks up and asks you a question, they expect you to have an answer or to find an answer. If you say, I don't know, it does not make you look very professional. We're going to focus on the social part first. We need to remember that if somebody approaches you in a social scenario, likely they want to be your friend. They want to get to know you better. They're expecting to have a conversation with you. They're also thinking that the social exchange will make you feel better, make them feel better. So they're looking for a nice back and forth conversation. We also need to consider that maybe they're attracted to you. So if they see you across the room and something has drawn them over towards you to have a conversation. And don't forget, they also may be lonely themselves. They're looking for somebody to make them feel comfortable in a social scenario. When approached, somebody is likely to use some sort of conversation starter or a series of small talk questions. Don't forget, these are questions for them to get to know you better. To get to the better, deeper conversation, you have to do the small talk first. Or consider that their conversation starter is their way of trying to be friends with you. Your answer will help them get to know you better, and both of you can learn about each other and discover what you have in common. Not everybody is a master at conversation starters. Usually small talk is kind of awkward. It's a feeling out game to figure out what you both have in common. And it's a way of getting to know you better. So the questions may not be that great. Some questions are horrible. Like, what is your favorite color? They may ask, how was your weekend? So some questions don't open up the door for larger answers and greater conversation. Sometimes that means you have to work a bit too. But don't forget, they're making an effort. They're trying. Let's pretend they ask you a good question. They want to find out what your favorite movies are. So you're stuck in the moment. You're not sure what to say and do. You haven't actually queued up any movies in your head recently. And your first answer is, I don't know. Before you say, I don't know, you could reflect the question back to them. Oh, that is a great question. Hey, what are some of your favorite movies? I need a few minutes to think about this. More than likely, the person asking you questions, that's something they want to talk about themselves. So if they ask about your weekend, it's likely they want to talk about their weekend too. If they ask you questions about music or movies, that's something they're probably interested in, and they would like to talk about movies and music too. So it's safe to ask the question back at them. They'll likely give you a good answer, and they'll talk a fair bit that may give you time to come up with an answer on your own. Or if you're still not sure, continue asking follow-up questions. Sometimes the person approaching you is somebody you already know, and they're continuing a conversation that maybe you've had previously. It could be a question to get to know you better. It could be to show concern, like, are you okay? How have things been? Last time we spoke, you said your mother wasn't well. It could be they want to get more information. Perhaps they consider you somebody who's knowledgeable on a particular topic. And so they're hoping to get more information. They may consider your advice helpful. When somebody comes over to speak to you and there's other people in the room or at the event, they're choosing you out of a group of people. Take that as a compliment. Hey, somebody likes me. They're willing to take time out of the day to speak with me. They're curious about me. They want to be a friend. They're looking for a friend. Something about me is interesting to them, or I have knowledge or information they do not have. Let's go back to somebody ask you a question. You're not sure how to answer it. You're in the I don't know part of your brain. Something you can do, and I've talked about this a lot, and I really harp on it, is you practice conversation starters yourself. Have a few questions that you can have queued up, memorized, queued up on your phone even. So you can ask them a question, say, hey, listen, I need time to think about this. Hey, I got a question for you. And you ask them a question. And again, they want to have a conversation with you. So you don't always have to answer. As long as you get them talking, they'll be happy. Most people enjoy talking about themselves and then like to be heard. If you show interest in them, your likability goes up quite a bit. That person will feel good. Next time they see you, they will have happy thoughts. They'll also speak kindly about you to others. Another suggestion, if there are people in the room that you know, you can call it somebody else's name. Hey, Tony, come on over here. Check out this question. Tell me about your favorite band. Maybe get somebody else involved, pull somebody else in who can help break up some of the tension, get the conversation moving in different directions. Pulling somebody else over will also take the social pressure off you. And the dynamic picks up a little bit. So there's more people involved in the conversation. This information sounds really good, but it needs to be practiced in order for it to be functional. If you're a student of mine, then you already know some of the practices that we do in summer camp or private coaching, sometimes even at our social groups. We'll have pieces of paper with a line of questions on it for basically typical things people might ask you. So your favorite books, movies, music, video games, ask questions about your parents, your brothers, sisters, pets, your personal interest. These questions we use to help with small talk with other people. It's like an interview, but you should also do it for yourself. Write down all the list of answers to those common questions and memorize them or have them written out. You can even use your phone. I mean, it's okay to cheat. That way, when people ask you questions, you can refer to it easily. So it's memorized or you have it written down somewhere. These are also questions you can throw back to the person who's speaking with you. And again, don't forget, more than likely, they're there because they've chosen you out of a group to talk to with. So if you show interest in them by asking questions, and remember, this makes people feel good. Showing interest in others makes their oxytocin levels go up. So you nod your head, you ask questions, you show you're interested. So ask them about their favorite music, genre of books, video games they like to play, hobbies, interests, family. So take the questions, just throw them back at the person. Keep the conversation going. Remember, if you say, I don't know, it's a conversation killer. There are always alternatives, but you need to practice. Let's switch gears now and consider a work scenario. If somebody's asking you a question, you're supposed to have the answer. You're likely the professional. You're the one, perhaps that's your department. So if you say, I don't know, it does not make you look very good. So there's a few variations here, basically how to get out of this situation. Number one, just say, I'm not sure, but I can look it up for you. Okay, it shows a willingness to learn, a willingness to try. Give a time frame when you will get the information to them. Okay, another way of saying it, I don't have an answer at the moment, but I can ask someone who might know, because maybe you know somebody who is an expert in this field, somebody else in the office who may know. I don't have enough information to give you a definite answer, but I can try to find out more. Again, it just shows a willingness that you will try to figure this problem out. All right, or I'm not familiar with that, but I'm happy to research and get back to you, because maybe it's not something that you are familiar with. Perhaps it's out of your field. You might want to defer to somebody else, recommend a different department, a different person, or show that you are eager and keen, and I'll try to look this up. That's a great question, but unfortunately, I don't have an answer right now. And again, give a time frame when you will have an answer. So perhaps you do have a workload at the moment, and it may take an hour or a couple of, maybe a day or two. You will get back to them, let them know. So by being honest and offering to research or find out more information, you can show that you are open to learning and willing to help find the answers that somebody is looking for. I hope you found these tips helpful. My number one suggestion, practice. Come up with a list of conversation starters that you yourself can pass on to somebody else. If they ask you a question, refer it back to them. Ask them the same question. Don't forget to memorize answers to commonly asked questions. Most people, for small talk, they're going to want to know more about your family, your work, your hobbies, interests, etc., etc. So that sheet that we practice, if you're one of my students, memorize the answers to commonly asked questions. Cue them up in your phone. Practice conversation starters. Have somebody work with you to find a conversation starter that works with almost everyone. Don't forget, asking somebody's favorite color is terrible. So find a question that most people can answer. One of my favorites, you've been interviewed by me, you know this one. Name somebody that you'd like to have over for dinner, somebody famous, living or dead. That's a pretty good question. Most people can answer that one fairly easily. Number one thing to remember, if somebody is speaking with you, they've chosen you out of a group of people to come and talk with. Okay, there's some reason why they're there. They want to be friends with you, they're attracted to you, or you have information they do not have. In a work scenario, do not forget, you are the expert. Somebody is coming to speak with you because they think that you know the answer. You're the one who's supposed to have the answer. They are lost and need your help. If you cannot answer right there in the moment, let them know that you will give them an answer. You'll either find somebody or you'll do it yourself. Give them a time frame. Whoa, I almost forgot. Our summer camp covers this and more. We'll have a larger lesson on I don't know and get to practice our answers all summer. To learn more, watch the end of the video. Before we go, let me know your answer to this conversation starter. Who would you most like to be stuck in an elevator with? And who would you least like to be stuck in an elevator with? Thanks, Oz.